guys, welcome back to the channel. Okay, it's been a while since I made a video about GTD. I still use the system, but I've been tweaking a few things as life changes. So now I'm finally ready to share, kind of my updated system, I guess. But if you don't care to hear about the journey and all that, just jump to this timestamp and it'll go straight into me talking about like the simplified version of GTD that I'm using now. I do want to caveat that that's more geared towards people who are like more advanced with GTD, I'd say. I wouldn't go straight there if you're like an absolute beginner. I would go to this video first. I'll link up here, which is like introducing what the concept is and like the method and all that stuff. So go there first if you don't know anything about GTD. Now, if you care to hear about kind of the journey of where I was in probably my last GTD videos to now, then just keep watching. So I think in the last videos that I was talking about GTD, I was using my master lists like this, right? And again, caveat this video by saying you don't need these inserts. I own a shop, so obviously like I just use my inserts because I have them, but it's the method, it's not the inserts, because you could just write this on a note paper and it's really the exact same thing. So the method being that I had my master GTD lists and I really liked that. It kept me on track. I had one source of truth and I would put everything kind of in this front section with the GTD, and then I would migrate things from my inbox to my next actions list, my waiting on, and et cetera, et cetera. And that was working really well. I think at the time that I was doing this, I was kind of in and out of mat leave, probably a lot of things going on at home and whatnot. But I also had a bit of extra time because I wasn't working full time as well. So that was working. And then I have a lot of videos about, how I incorporated this with my monthly and weekly and daily planning, and I'll link them down below. Maybe I'll even link one up there. And so there's a lot of plan with me's and how I discuss that. So that was kind of where I started. And then if you guys have been following me on Instagram, you guys may have seen that I started to dabble with digital planning and it was working really well for me. I started it, I can't remember if I had just gone back on or back to work or what it was, but I got into digital planning and I started using my GTD digital planner. And it was great because I was already starting to notice that like once I started going back to work, it was getting hard for me to like migrate things from one page to the next because things were constantly changing. I was having more stuff going on. I was using GTD also for work purposes, and it was just like a lot of migrating that I didn't have time to do. So then I started using my GTD digital planner, which of course, if you guys have tried digital planning, you guys know that it makes it so much easier because, for example, I have my inbox here. I would write the things out. I would just copy and then paste it, for example, onto my next actions list, right? And or I could paste it onto my waiting on. Everything's linked. It's super easy, super quick. So that really helped me for a while. But at this time, I was working from home. And so I had my, my iPad at home. I had my setup at home. It was easy for me to use this big iPad Pro because I didn't have to lug it around and I could just have it on my desk. And it was great. It worked perfect. So that's what I was doing. And it kind of solved the issue of me migrating things back and forth because it was just copy and paste. It wasn't rewriting. And so that worked really well. Then fast forward a few more months now. For us at work, we're starting to return to work and go work in the office. So I go into the office a couple times a week and then I'm at home a couple times a week. But of course that change makes a big difference because now I have to carry stuff to the office, right? And so I do have an iPad mini as well that I started carrying into the office and trying to use like the digital planner at the office with the mini iPad because it was light and easy to carry, which worked well and it was fine. But as I started to ramp up with my meetings at work, like, I don't know, something just about being on a digital device, like whether it's your laptop or an iPad, makes it seem like you're like not paying attention, you know what I mean? And even though like an iPad is better because it kind of looks like a piece of paper, the fact that like the screen turns off and you have to go rejig it makes it just look like you're not paying attention. So I just feel like notebook is the way to go when you're physically at work. Let me know down below if you guys agree with that, but I don't know. For me, maybe I'm old school. That's just what I think. And so I started kind of bringing this little disc-bound notebook into work. And so I would just, make notes in here in kind of this kind of insert, jot down notes for the day or whatever while I was at work. And that was great because at meetings, it didn't look like I wasn't paying attention, right? And so with this came the issue of like, well, now I don't have my GTD master lists here. I didn't want to have like a fixed section of the GTD again where I had to like migrate things back and forth because I don't have the time right now. I'm working full time. I have my Etsy shop. I have like my 2 young girls. So it's just like, okay, but I need to use the GTD method. So how am I going to incorporate this? So I've been thinking about a simplified system that would work. And I've been testing it in the past couple months, and I'm finally think I have it figured out and I'm ready to share it. Okay, so the system that I came up with, a couple things. One is to fix the issue of having to migrate things back and forth from all of your GTD lists. I know you guys have that problem as well. I've seen it on other videos. I've seen it in the comments. It's a pain when you're paper planning to copy it from your inbox to your next actions or to your waiting on or your someday maybe. It takes so much time, right? So I knew that I wanted to be able to incorporate that whole system on one page, okay? And then my other thing that I realized was in paper planning that kind of annoyed me is I know you could like take out, so you know, this is kind of the traditional way to do it. I know you can like take this out, right? And then look at your calendar or wherever you're planning and work with it. But it's just still an extra step. It's a bit annoying or whatever, especially as I'm like pre-planning. I really like to look at like my lists, right? To see what I can add to, you know, the week that I'm pre-planning to say I'm going to do these tasks, but it's just annoying to go like this or take it out and then have to put it back. So what I came up with was I kind of am really into a monthly view. I know you guys, a lot of you guys do this already, is like the pre-planning in the monthly view. And I started doing this too. I just kind of like being able to see my month at a glance. So I thought, okay, I need the one page beside the monthly view. And then that way I can pre-plan for the month and look at my GTD lists, right? So that was kind of the high level concept of the GTD summary here and then kind of the monthly here. And this is a dated 2023 bundle. It'll be in my shop maybe when the video comes out. If it is, I'll link it down below. But of course, you don't need these inserts. I'm just saying use your monthly view on one side and maybe make a summary GTD on the left. And how I did the GTD summary, and I will show you here. It's really, really easy to recreate. So again, that's why I say you don't need the insert. It's about the system. And I think I've made a system that's fairly simple, whether you want to use printables, whether you're bullet journaling, whatever you're doing. So here on the left, I have what was the sections on the original inbox. Your calendar, next actions, waiting on projects, someday maybe, and reference, right? And then on the right side here, let me show you a blank one actually. So on the right side here, it's just blank. And the reason why it's blank is because everybody's next action columns could be different, right? So some people, you know, they don't, you know, go to like a traditional job. So they don't need a work column. So maybe they have home, maybe they have one for each of their kids. Maybe they have, you know, phone, like they make a lot of calls at home, or maybe they have one for emails because they do a lot of emailing or whatever. So I've left it blank to keep it versatile. And then what I did was, so I added home, MYP, which is mommy plans of my Etsy shop or like my socials, then errands, and then I had planner, and then I might add, for example, emails and phone calls, okay? And then I went ahead and I kind of added a list of things that I know already that I have to do in January because we're traveling. So I'm already kind of thinking about what we need to do. And then this is the similar, like it's basically the exact same thing as the inbox system. So here, if this was my original inbox system, right? It's the exact same thing. You'll see that it's the exact same titles. And then similar to my inbox where I would go down and kind of put dots on what it belongs to, I just do that here. So whatever is time or date specific, I put on my calendar. Whatever's next actions, I just make note of it. And then waiting on projects, someday maybe, reference, whatever, right? And then for the items that are on the next actions, you can further break it down here. And the reason, again, why that's important is goes back to the GTD, David Allen's kind of principles about you should group your next action tasks by the kind of the tools or the way that you're going to complete that task. Just because when you're doing, when you're in and running errands outside already, you want to know all the things that you need to get done when you're out of the house. When you're opening your planner, what are all the things related to your planner so you can get them done all at once? It's much more efficient than you go out for an errand, you come back to do your planner, you're like, oh shoot, I forgot something outside, go back outside to go get it, right? So that's why this is important to have on the one page. And so between these, it kind of encompasses everything that you had in your GTD master lists. Now, the only caveat here, of course, is that if you don't finish something, if you don't finish tasks in that 1 month and you start the next month, then you, of course, have to either, go back and look at that month as well, or you have to migrate things over. For me, because it's in this monthly view where it's really just like a page back, I'm not flipping a lot of pages, so I don't mind, being like, let me look through here and let me just make sure the last page was all done. Because I'm not going to be carrying over things for months and months at a time, so I don't need to flip back like 100 pages. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. And what I like about this is it has all the things that I need and it still categorizes it so that if I want to see the things that I'm waiting on, I can just easily go down the waiting on list and kind of see which tasks or items that I'm still waiting on. So everything is on one page. So I've been testing this out this past year and that's been working really well for me, and being able to, pre-plan using the lists beside each other has just been life-changing. It's just like a small thing that just makes it so much easier. I don't know if it's just me. Let me know down below if it's just me or if it bothers you too. And then the other thing that I had was kind of like an area for a month in review. So at the end of the month, I don't really do weekly reviews, to be honest. Some of you guys have asked me like, how do you do your weekly review? For me, my weekly review was always just like, I look through the week and I just migrate tasks that were unfinished. That was all I did for a weekly review, because I just found like to do a full like review of like my system or like how the planning was working was so unnecessary week to week. I'd much prefer to do it like on a monthly basis, just to give it some time, like the way that I'm doing things, give it some time to see if it actually works or not. So I left a spot for a month in review to talk, jot down if things aren't working or what was working or whatever, right? Reviewing my system and then any highlights I could put here. So that's kind of the new system. And so I'm really excited because I think this is gonna serve me really well, especially with my new stage of life where I'm working and I have the kids and I'm doing this little side hustle on the side just to manage everything. I just think this will be much easier, much cleaner. And not to say that I don't still love my GTD master list. I feel like this is almost like my baby because I'm just so used to this system. But for me, it's like you have to tailor your system to what works for you in that stage of life. And that can change month to month, week to week, who knows, right? It can change all the time. So yeah, I think this will work really well for me, but who knows, maybe I'll jump back to the lists again at some point. So anyways, I hope you guys found that helpful. Let me know down below if you guys are using GTD, what's your issues or pros and cons of the system, because I love to hear more about other people who are using the system, because I'm always trying to evolve it just because I love it and it's so great to hear how other people use it. But yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys have made it all the way here, I would really appreciate it if you'd consider giving the video a thumbs up, because it really does help support my channel. And I will see you guys next time. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.